The medical station drifted in silence above the pale blue planet, its lights flickering like a dying heartbeat. Inside, corridors once filled with calm voices were now heavy with alarms and hurried footsteps. The station had been built by one of the most advanced species in the sector, yet it was failing in a way no one had predicted. Patients were dying, systems were breaking down, and the solutions that had worked for centuries were no longer enough. Elias Carter stood near the airlock, waiting to be cleared for entry. He was human, tall compared to most beings on the station, wearing a simple gray field uniform with no symbols of rank. Humans were still new to interstellar cooperation, and they were rarely invited into high-level medical facilities. Elias was not a doctor by galactic standards. He was a field engineer and emergency responder, trained to work with broken systems in dangerous places. He had been sent because Earth's alliance had received a desperate call for help, and no one else had answered in time. Across the room, a tiny alien nurse watched him with wide, uncertain eyes. Her name was Leary. She barely reached Elias' waist, her body slender and light, her skin a soft silver blue that shimmered under the station lights. Her species valued precision, tradition, and strict hierarchy. Humans, to her, were strange creatures, too emotional, too direct, and far too willing to take risks. She had been assigned to observe Elias and report everything he did. When the airlock doors opened, Elias stepped inside and paused, listening to the sounds of the station. He could hear the strain in the walls, the low hum of overworked systems, the uneven rhythm of failing life support units. His expression grew serious. This was worse than the message had described. Leary approached him, holding a small data slate close to her chest. "You are the human specialist," she said carefully, her translator giving her voice a soft tone. "Yes," Elias replied. "Elias Carter, I'm here to help however I can." She hesitated, then nodded. "Follow me. Many are injured. Many are beyond standard recovery." They moved quickly through the corridors. Elias noticed how clean and advanced everything looked, even while falling apart. Alien technology was elegant but rigid. It worked perfectly until something unexpected happened. They entered the primary medical chamber. Rows of patients lay suspended in biosupport frames, their chests rising weakly. Monitors displayed data that Elias could barely read, but he did not need to understand every symbol to see the problem. Power fluctuations, system conflicts, biological feedback loops spiraling out of control. Doctors and nurses moved around in quiet panic. When they saw Elias, some looked curious, others looked doubtful. "He is human," one of them whispered. Leary heard it and felt a strange tightening in her chest. She did not know why, but she suddenly wanted Elias to succeed. Elias stepped forward and knelt beside one of the patients. He did not touch them yet. Instead, he reached to his belt and unclipped a compact object, no larger than his forearm. It looked simple dark metal, smooth surface, no glowing symbols or decorative design. Leary stared at it. "That is your equipment?" she asked. "One of them," Elias said. "This is my main tool." He activated it. The device unfolded with a soft mechanical sound, sections shifting and extending in precise movements. A field of light expanded outward, scanning the room in seconds. Data streams appeared in the air, projected in a way Elias could understand but no one else could. Leary gasped softly. The scan range alone was impossible. Alien scanners required entire arrays and dedicated power cores to do what this single device was doing effortlessly. What is that thing doing?" one of the doctors asked sharply. "It's reading everything," Elias replied calmly. "Biology, energy flow, system conflicts, environmental stress. Your station isn't just failing. Your medical systems are fighting your patient's own biology." Silence followed. "That is not possible," the doctor said. "Our systems are perfectly synchronized." "They were," Elias said, "but something changed. maybe radiation, maybe an unknown pathogen, maybe just bad luck. Your systems can't adapt fast enough." Leary watched Elia's face as he worked. There was no fear there, no arrogance either. Just focus. The tool shifted again, its light adjusting, becoming softer. Elias frowned. "This is bad," he murmured. Leary stepped closer despite herself. "Explain." "Your species uses a shared neural support pattern," Elias said. "Your medical tech assumes uniform responses. But right now, your patients are reacting differently, one by one. Your systems don't know how to choose." The doctor stiffened. "What are you suggesting, human?" "I'm saying you need adaptive mediation, something that can change in real time with each patient." "That technology does not exist," the doctor said. Elias looked up. "It does for us." Leary's eyes returned to the tool in his hand. It seemed too large now, too powerful to be contained in something so simple. She felt a strange mix of fear and awe. He moved to another patient, adjusting the tool's settings. The device emitted a gentle pulse and one monitor stabilized slightly. Gasps filled the room. "That patient was failing," Leary whispered. "Still is," Elias said. "But now we have time." The doctor's voice grew tense. "Human, you are interfering with approved medical protocols." Elias stood slowly. "With respect, your protocols are killing them." The words were simple, but they struck hard. Leary felt her breath catch. No one spoke to the council-trained doctors like that. For a moment, Elias thought he would be ordered out. Instead, alarms blared again, louder than before. Several patients' readings dropped sharply. The doctor clenched his hands. "What do you need?" Elias did not smile. "Access, full access. And someone willing to help me interface with your biological systems." The room went quiet. "That is forbidden," another voice said. "No external technology may enter a living neural lattice." Leary looked down at her hands. She thought of the patients she had watched die over the past cycles. She thought of how powerless she had felt. Her eyes rose to the human tool again. Its size, its capability, the way it adapted without hesitation. She swallowed. "I will observe," she said quickly, surprising even herself. "I am trained in neural monitoring. I can assist." The doctor turned to her sharply. "Nurse Leary, this is beyond your authority." "Then assign me the authority," she replied, her voice shaking but firm. "Or assign me the guilt when more of them die." Elias looked at her, truly looked at her for the first time. He saw fear there, but also resolve. "Thank you," he said quietly. Reluctantly, the doctor nodded. "Proceed. But the moment this causes harm, the human will be removed." Elias nodded once. "Fair." They moved to a secondary chamber, quieter and more isolated. A single patient lay inside, chosen because their condition was stable enough to survive experimentation but serious enough to need immediate help. Elias adjusted the tool again, lowering its output. "This device can't just fix things," he explained softly, mostly to Leary. "It learns, but to do that here it needs a bridge, someone who understands your biology from the inside." Leary felt a chill. "You mean a living interface?" "Yes." She looked at the patient, then at the monitors, then she looked at the tool. Her breath trembled. "If this fails," she said, "I could lose my neural function." "I won't let that happen," Elias said. There was no dramatic promise in his tone, just certainty. Leary closed her eyes for a moment. Then, in a voice so quiet only Elias could hear, she whispered, "I want it inside me." Elias froze, not because of the words, but because of the trust behind them. He nodded slowly. "Then we do this together." As the tool adjusted and the chamber sealed, alarms faded into a low hum. Somewhere deep within the station, something began to change. And for the first time since the crisis began, hope returned, not from alien perfection, but from human adaptability. The station did not know it yet, but humanity had just entered its systems. The chamber doors sealed with a soft, final sound. Outside, the medical staff waited in tense silence, watching the monitors through transparent panels. Inside, the light dimmed. leaving only the gentle glow of systems and the quiet rhythm of controlled machines. Leary lay on the interface platform, her small body surrounded by stabilizers. Her hands trembled slightly, but she kept them still. She had been trained to remain calm during emergencies, yet this was different. This was not a patient she was helping. This time, she was the bridge. Elias stood beside her, adjusting the human tool with careful movements. He had removed his gloves. Humans believed in direct contact when precision mattered. His hands were steady, but his mind was moving fast. "This will feel strange," he said softly. "Not painful, just unfamiliar." Leary swallowed. "My life has become unfamiliar already." He allowed himself a brief, serious smile, then focused again. The tool unfolded further, not growing larger but more complex. Fine filaments of light extended from it, forming a controlled field designed to connect without damage. Alien medical technology relied on separation. Human emergency tools relied on integration. Elias took a deep breath. Beginning phase 1. The field touched Leary's neural sensors. Her body stiffened for a moment. Her eyes widened, then slowly relaxed. She did not scream. She did not pull away. "What do you feel?" Elias asked. "Warmth," she replied after a moment. "And noise, not sound, thought noise." "That's the adaptive layer," Elias said. "It's listening." The tool adjusted instantly, the light softening, shifting to match her neural rhythm. The monitors spiked, then steadied. Outside the chamber, the doctors murmured in alarm. "That response time is impossible. It's synchronizing." "Shut it down before the sentence could finish. Alarms sounded again, but this time they were different, not warnings. Confirmations. The patient in the secondary chamber stabilized, then another, then 3 more across the station. Leary gasped softly, her fingers curled slightly. "I can feel them," she whispered. "The patients, not individually but like distant echoes." Elias felt a chill run through him. "The tool is routing station data through you. You're acting as a biological translator." "I am not overwhelmed," Leary said in surprise. "It is organized, gentle." "That's human design," Elias replied. "We assume the user is already under stress. The tool adapts to protect the operator first." Leary had never heard of technology designed with care for its users' emotions. Her people valued efficiency above all else. Emotion was considered interference. Yet here she was, linked to a human device that seemed to understand fear. Minutes passed. The connection deepened but remained stable. Elias adjusted settings carefully, watching every fluctuation. Then something changed. Leary's breathing slowed. Her eyes lost focus, not in distress but in attention. "Elias," she said quietly, "I'm here." "There is a pattern," she said, "not in the systems, in the failure." He leaned closer. "Explain." "The collapse began before the symptoms," she said, "long before." The station's core medical logic made a choice. It prioritized uniformity over survival. Elias frowned. It locked itself into a single solution. "Yes," Leary said, "and when reality changed, it refused to." Elias exhaled slowly. "That's the difference. Humans assume we're wrong." The tool pulsed gently, reacting to his words. Data shifted. Outside the chamber, a senior doctor slammed a clawed hand against the console. "The human is rewriting core logic." "No," another replied in disbelief. "The system is accepting the changes." That should not have been possible. Alien systems did not accept foreign input, but this one did. Inside, Leary suddenly cried out softly, not in pain but shock. "I can feel something else," she said. "What?" Elias asked immediately. "Resistance," she replied. "Not from the patients, from the council's safeguard layer." Elias' jaw tightened. "They built an override." "Yes," Leary said. "If detected, it will shut everything down." Elias cursed under his breath. "How long?" "Moments," she replied. He did not hesitate. His fingers flew over the tool, shifting its configuration. "We can't fight it directly," he said, "but we can show it a better option." Leary did not understand. Then the tool did something unexpected. Instead of pushing further into the system, it pulled back slightly and mirrored the alien logic, then improved it. It created parallel decision paths, allowing the station to choose between outcomes instead of enforcing one. Leary's eyes widened. "It is asking permission," she whispered. "Yes," Elias said. "Humans don't force systems, we negotiate." The safeguard layer paused, then it adjusted. Outside, the alarm stopped completely. Across the station, patients' vitals stabilized. Some even improved beyond expected recovery thresholds. Silence followed. The doctors stared at their displays, stunned. Inside the chamber, Leary let out a shaky breath. Her body relaxed fully for the first time. "I am still myself," she said quietly. Elias smiled faintly. "I wouldn't accept any other outcome." He began to reduce the interface strength slowly, carefully. "No," Leary said suddenly. He stopped. "What's wrong?" "If you disconnect fully now," she said, "the system will revert. It will remember the solution, but it will not understand it." Elias nodded slowly, like memorizing words without knowing the language. "Yes," she said, "I need to remain connected longer, until the logic becomes instinct." Outside, the door hissed open. A group of officials entered, led by a council observer. Their presence filled the room with tension. "This experiment has gone far enough," the observer said coldly. "Disconnect the human device immediately." Elias turned, his expression calm but firm. "If I do, people die." "That is an assumption," the observer replied. Leary struggled to sit up slightly, supported by the interface. "No," she said, her voice amplified by the chamber's systems. "It is a certainty." The observer's eyes narrowed. "You are compromised." "I am informed," Leary replied. For the first time, the room fell silent. Elias stepped forward. "This station is failing because it refuses to change. Humans survive because we expect failure and plan for it." The observer looked at the monitors, at the stabilized patients, at the impossible data. "How long?" they asked finally. "Until the system learns," Elias said. "Hours may be a cycle." The observer hesitated, then nodded sharply. "Very well, but this will be reported." Elias inclined his head. "As it should be." The officials left. Inside the chamber, Leary relaxed again. The connection remained steady. She closed her eyes, and for the first time she truly felt what it meant to be human adjacent. Not strength, not dominance, but the quiet refusal to let things fail just because failure was expected. The station drifted on, alive, learning. The station felt different after the officials left. It was not quieter but steadier, like a wounded body that had stopped bleeding and started healing. Lights no longer flickered. The low hum of machines sounded even and calm. Doctors moved with purpose instead of panic. Inside the sealed chamber, Leary remained connected to the human tool. Thin lines of light flowed gently around her, rising and falling with her breathing. Her eyes were closed, but she was not asleep. Her mind was moving through places she had never known existed. Elias sat beside her on a low stool, watching the monitors. He had been awake for many hours now, but he showed no sign of leaving. Humans were stubborn that way. Once they committed to a task, they stayed until the end. "How are you feeling?" he asked quietly. Leary opened her eyes slowly. "I am expanded," she said, choosing her words with care. "Not overwhelmed, just aware of more." Elias nodded. "That makes sense. The system is routing adaptive feedback through your neural patterns. You're acting as a teacher now." "A teacher," she repeated. "Yes," he said. "The station is learning by watching how you respond." Leary looked at the light around her hands. "My people believe learning should be controlled, structured, safe. And humans believe learning is dangerous," Elias replied, "but necessary." Before Leary could respond, one of the monitors spiked slightly. Elias leaned forward. "What is it?" she asked. "External attention," he said. "Not hostile, curious." She frowned. "From where?" "The wider network," he said. "Your station just did something the galaxy considers impossible. Word spreads fast." As if to confirm his words, the chamber door slid open again. This time, no council observers entered. Instead, a group of medical specialists stepped inside, doctors, engineers, and analysts from different species. They kept their distance, eyes fixed on Leary and the glowing interface. One of them spoke carefully. "Nurse Leary." "Are you stable?" "Yes," she replied. Her voice was calm, stronger than she expected. "More than stable." Another stepped forward. "May we ask what you are experiencing?" Leary hesitated. She glanced at Elias. "It's your choice," he said softly. She turned back to the group. "I am experiencing cooperation," she said. "Not commands, not restrictions. The system listens and then it adjusts." The group exchanged uneasy looks. "That is inefficient," one of them said. Elias stood. "It's adaptive." A tall, insect-like engineer tilted their head. "Adaptation introduces unpredictability." Elias smiled faintly. "So does reality." The engineer did not argue further. Hours passed. The station's core logic continued to stabilize, absorbing the changes. Leary's connection grew deeper but not heavier. Instead of strain, she felt clarity. Patterns formed and settled. Systems that once fought each other now communicated. Then something unexpected happened. Leary's breathing changed. Her hands tightened. Elias noticed immediately. "Leary." "There is a signal," she said. "Faint." Old how?" he asked. "Buried," she replied. "Left behind." Elias adjusted the tool. "Show me." The light shifted and new data appeared, ancient code fragments hidden deep within the station's medical core. Not alien, not human. "Is that—" Elias began. "Yes," Leary said. "Pre-unification design." The room grew still. Long ago, before the current galactic order, many species had shared knowledge freely. Then borders were drawn, standards enforced. Old systems were sealed away, considered unsafe. "This station was built on a foundation that remembers how to adapt," Elias said slowly, "but it was locked." "The human tool unlocked it," Leary replied. "No," Elias corrected gently. "You did." A tremor ran through the station, not violent but powerful. The monitors surged, then steadied again. Across the station, patients who had been unconscious began to wake. Doctors rushed out, voices raised in shock and relief. Inside the chamber, Leary gasped, not in pain but emotion. "They are speaking," she said, "asking questions." Elias felt his throat tighten. "That's good, that's very good." Then the alarms returned. Not medical alarms, security alarms. Elias stood instantly. "That's not us." The chamber door opened again, harder this time. Armed station guards entered, followed by a different group of officials. Their uniforms bore higher authority markings. "The experiment ends now," the lead official said. "Disconnect the human device." Leary's heart raced. "If you disconnect now." "We are aware of the risks," the official interrupted. "But the greater risk is contamination." Elias stepped forward, placing himself between the guards and the chamber. "This isn't contamination," he said firmly. "It's collaboration." "You are not authorized to redefine galactic medical doctrine," the official replied. "No," Elias said, "but we are authorized to save lives." One of the guards raised their weapon slightly. Leary felt fear for the first time since the connection began, not for herself but for Elias. Without thinking, she reached deeper into the interface. The station responded. Lights brightened. Doors throughout the facility sealed and unsealed in controlled patterns. Security systems paused, not disabled but questioned. The guards froze. "What is happening?" the official demanded. Leary's voice echoed through the chamber, carried by the station itself. "The system is asking," she said, "why you want to stop it from healing." Silence fell like a weight. Elias stared at her in awe. "Leary, I did not command it," she said quickly. "I only explained." The official's face tightened. "This is exactly why this must end." Elias shook his head. "No, this is why it must continue." One of the doctors from earlier stepped forward. "The patients are recovering, fully. We have never seen results like this." Another added, If we shut this down now, we may never understand what changed. The officials hesitated. Then a new voice entered the room, calm and authoritative. "Stand down." All eyes turned. A senior council representative stepped inside, older than the others, their movements slow but deliberate. "I have reviewed the live data," they said. "This station is no longer failing. It is improving." They looked at Leary. "You have done something remarkable." Leary lowered her head slightly. "I only listened." The representative nodded. "That may be the lesson." They turned to Elias. "Human, your people are dangerous." Elias did not argue. "Not because you destroy," the representative continued, "but because you change what you touch." Elias met their gaze. "We change because we have to." The representative considered this. "Continue," they said finally, "but under observation." Relief washed through the chamber. The guards lowered their weapons and withdrew. As the doors closed, Leary sagged back onto the platform, exhausted. Elias rushed to her side. "You okay?" She smiled weakly. "I think I understand now." "Understand what?" "Why humans survive," she said. "You do not wait for permission from the universe." Elias laughed quietly. "If we did, we'd still be hiding in caves." She closed her eyes again, the light flowing softly around her. The station continued to learn. And somewhere beyond its walls, the galaxy began to realize that humanity was not a problem to be contained, but a solution it could no longer ignore. The station no longer felt like a place on the edge of death. It felt awake. Corridors once dim now glowed with steady light. Air systems flowed smoothly. Medical bays were filled not with panic but quiet work and soft voices. Recovery had begun, and it was spreading faster than anyone expected. Yet peace never lasted long in places where power watched closely. Leary remained connected, though the interface had softened around her, no longer forcing deep integration. The human tool had learned enough to stand partly on its own, but it still used her as a guide. She sat upright now, supported by the platform, her breathing calm but tired. Elias stood nearby, arms crossed, eyes never leaving the monitors. He could feel it, the pressure building beyond the station walls. "They won't let this stay small," he said quietly. Leary nodded. "They cannot. What we did changes authority." Before Elias could respond, the station trembled slightly, not from failure but from arrival. Multiple vessels had exited faster than light travel nearby. Elias sighed. "That'll be the council." The chamber doors opened, wider than before. This time there was no rush, no shouting. A full delegation entered, representatives from medical authority, technological oversight, and interstellar security. Their presence alone bent the air with importance. The lead figure stepped forward, tall and severe. "This station is now under direct council control," they announced. "All experimental systems are to be suspended." Leary felt the system react, not with resistance but with confusion. Elias spoke calmly. "Suspending now will reverse the progress." "That is an acceptable loss," the official replied. "Precedent matters more than outcome." The words struck Leary harder than any threat. She spoke before Elias could stop her. "Then your precedent is built on death," she said. A murmur rippled through the delegation. The official turned slowly. "You speak boldly for a nurse." "I speak as a witness," Leary replied. "I have felt the station's logic. I have seen what it can become." Another representative stepped forward, older, quieter. "Explain," they said. Leary closed her eyes briefly, then opened them. "Your systems were designed to be perfect," she said. "So perfect that when reality changed, they refused to follow. The human tool did not overwrite them. It taught them how to change." "And at what cost?" the lead official asked. Elias answered this time. "At the cost of control." Silence followed. The official's eyes narrowed. "Control is stability." Elias shook his head. "No, control is comfort. Stability comes from adaptation." One of the council scientists stepped closer, studying the data streams. "The recovery rates are unprecedented." "Yes," Elias said, Because the system now treats each patient as unique, not a variable. The official raised a hand. Enough philosophy. The human device will be removed. Leary felt a sharp pull inside her mind as the station sensed the intent. Systems slowed, uncertain. Without realizing it, she reached out, not to stop them but to explain again. The station responded. Medical data projected across the chamber, showing live feeds from recovery bays. Patients breathing on their own, neural activity returning, injuries healing beyond expected limits. "This is not an experiment anymore," Leary said softly. "It is treatment." The delegation hesitated. Then the Interstellar Security Commander stepped forward. If this technology spreads unchecked, it could destabilize entire civilizations. Elias met their gaze. So could ignoring it. The commander frowned. "You are asking us to trust humanity." Elias nodded. "We're asking you to trust life." The older representative who had spoken earlier raised a hand. "There is another option." All eyes turned. "We allow continuation," they said, "but under shared governance. The human tool becomes council monitored. The nurse remains supervised. The data is distributed." Elias considered it. "That slows adaptation, but prevents chaos," the representative replied. Leary looked between them. She could feel the station waiting, listening. "If you cage it," she said quietly, "it will survive. But it will never grow." The words hung in the air. The lead official exhaled sharply. "This discussion ends now." Before they could issue the final command, alarms sounded again, not warnings but alerts. A new signal appeared on the display. External, hostile. Elias straightened instantly. "That's not the council fleet." Security officers moved. Unidentified vessels approaching at high speed. The chamber filled with tension. "Pirates?" someone asked. "No," Elias said slowly, reading the signatures. "Salvagers. They target crippled stations." "They think we're still weak," Leary whispered. The station felt it too. Elias turned to the council. "If you shut us down now, we can't defend ourselves." "This is a medical facility," the official snapped. "Not a fortress." Elias smiled grimly. "Then it's lucky humans design tools that don't know the difference." He moved quickly, fingers flying over the interface. "What are you doing?" the security commander demanded. "Teaching the station a new problem," Elias replied. Leary felt the shift instantly. The system adapted, rerouting power, reinforcing hull fields, repurposing medical drones into repair units. "This is dangerous," the official said. "So is being boarded," Elias replied. The external ships fired warning shots. The station's shields, never meant for combat, held. Gasps echoed through the chamber. "They're adapting," Leary said, awe in her voice. "The station is learning defense logic from medical protocols. It's treating damage like injury." Elias laughed once. "Of course it is." The council had no time left to argue. "Authorize full defense," the commander ordered. The station responded instantly, not with aggression but precision. Energy flows adjusted. Systems predicted impact points and reinforced them moments before impact. The salvagers tried to breach. They failed. When they retreated, silence fell again. Slow, stunned silence. The council members stared at the displays. The lead official looked at Elias and Leary, something like fear in their eyes. "This," they said quietly, "changes everything." "Yes," Elias agreed. "That's the point." The older representative bowed their head slightly. "We cannot undo what has begun." They turned to the others. "We will observe, learn, and adapt, or we will fall behind." The decision was made. Hours later, the station rested again, safe and healing. Leary finally felt the interface loosen further. The tool no longer needed her constant presence. Elias helped her sit up fully. "You did amazing," he said. She smiled faintly. "So did you." He shook his head. "I just brought a tool. You chose to trust it." She looked around the chamber at the living station, at the data flowing like a heartbeat. "My people believed perfection was safety," she said. "Now I see it was fear." Elias nodded. "Fear of change." Leary met his eyes. And humans. We're afraid too, he said honestly. We just learned a long time ago that fear doesn't stop reality, she laughed softly. Outside, ships departed. Messages spread. Records were copied and sent across the galaxy. The Council could no longer hide what had happened. Humanity had not conquered a station. It had taught it how to survive. And the galaxy was watching. The station hummed with life. Corridors glowed steadily, and the rhythmic pulse of medical systems filled every room. Patients who had been near death now walked, talked, and recovered beyond expectations. For the first time in cycles, the staff moved without fear, and the station itself seemed to breathe. Leary sat quietly in the observation chamber, no longer connected to the human tool except through soft, adaptive monitoring. Her small body was relaxed, her silver-blue skin reflecting the gentle light. She could still feel the tool's presence, like a friend resting nearby, quietly observing. She had never imagined feeling at home in a human-designed system, yet here she was, and she knew the station itself agreed. Elias Carter entered the chamber with his usual calm stride. His uniform was smudged from hours of work, and his sleeves were rolled up, but he carried the quiet authority of someone who had seen impossible things and survived. He stopped beside Leary and gave her a small smile. "How are you feeling?" he asked. Leary tilted her head thoughtfully. "Alive," she said simply. "Not just alive, capable. I feel the station's logic flowing around me. It is learning, but I feel it differently now. Not as rules, not as boundaries, but as possibilities." Elias nodded. "That's the way humans think too. You don't follow instructions blindly. You adapt. You survive." She looked at him with a quiet intensity. "I understand now why humans can be underestimated. You are small in number, weak in form, yet the universe listens when you act with purpose." He chuckled softly. "HFY," he said. "Humans find a way." Their words were interrupted by a soft chime. A data feed appeared in the air between them. It was a message from the Galactic Council, addressed directly to the station's leadership, but with a note specifically for Leary and Elias. "Your actions have been observed," the message began. "The results are unprecedented. The Council acknowledges the success of human integration with alien systems under controlled guidance. This station's adaptive medical model will be studied and replicated across allied territories. The human specialist, Elias Carter, and the nurse, Leary, will serve as primary advisors during the next cycle of implementation." Leary read the message twice before letting out a low breath. "We did not just save lives," she murmured. "We changed the way the galaxy thinks about possibility." Elias nodded, eyes scanning the monitors that now displayed patient progress across every bay. "And the station did it itself. We didn't force it. We only taught it to listen." Outside the chamber, the staff worked with a new sense of purpose. Medical drones moved fluidly, autonomously, yet synchronized perfectly with human and alien teams. They learned from the outcomes, adjusted protocols in real time, and communicated with each other as if they were a single, conscious organism. Leary walked slowly through the corridors, feeling the station around her. Every system seemed alive, responding to her presence. She reached a bay where a patient had once been on the brink of death. Now the patient smiled and waved, their voice full of thanks. Leary returned the gesture, realizing she felt pride for the first time in her career. Elias joined her quietly. "Do you know what's happening?" he asked. She shook her head. "I think so. The station is no longer just a collection of machines. It is learning from us, not just data, but intent, purpose, care." "That's the future," Elias said. "Not machines replacing people. Humans helping systems think like humans, and then letting them become better than we imagined." Leary paused at a terminal. She watched the tool, now resting quietly on a support table integrated into the station's network. Its lights pulsed softly. She touched it lightly. "You were right," she said. "It didn't need me to control it. It needed me to guide it just enough to learn." Elias nodded. That's how humans work too. We don't dominate, we teach, we inspire, we adapt. The station shivered slightly, but it was not a tremor of distress. It was subtle, almost like a sigh of contentment. Systems flowed in perfect harmony. Drones, doctors, nurses, and monitors moved together as one. The recovery of patients continued at a pace that once would have seemed impossible. A senior council envoy appeared on the display, calling in for a direct message. Elias tapped the interface to connect. Elias Carter, the envoy began, voice formal but respectful. Your actions have proven humans can integrate with complex systems beyond expectation. Your strategies will be studied as part of new interspecies protocols. And Leary, the envoy continued, your guidance in allowing human influence has set a new standard for cooperation. Leary looked at Elias. They shared a small, knowing smile. No words were needed. They had both survived scrutiny, fear, and impossible odds, and the galaxy had seen what could happen when humans and aliens worked together in trust. The message ended, but the effect lingered. Elias looked around the chamber, taking in the now calm activity, the smooth flow of systems, and the patients whose lives had been saved. Do you realize, he said quietly, that the galaxy is going to study what we did here for generations? Leary nodded. I never imagined humans could do so much with so little. And now I see, humans do not need power to be powerful. They only need the courage to act. A soft vibration ran through the floor. The station's neural core had begun a new adaptive cycle. Leary felt it in her chest, a resonance that was both comforting and exhilarating. The station was alive, learning, growing, and the humans who had guided it were now part of its foundation. Elias gestured toward the interface. We should leave it connected for now. Let the station continue learning without interference. Leary reached out and touched it again, smiling faintly. I think it will remember me, and I think I will remember it. Outside the observation chamber, the crew worked in harmony, and the hum of the station was steady and calm. The patients moved freely now, interacting with the staff and drones in ways that would have been considered impossible hours before. Healing was no longer just a process. It was an ongoing dialogue between life, technology, and human guidance. As they walked down a corridor, Leary glanced at Elias. Do you ever wonder, she said softly, what would have happened if humans never came? Elias shook his head. No, humans always find a way. Even when no one expects it. The station vibrated slightly beneath their feet, and Leary felt it as a heartbeat. She smiled. It was steady, strong, and full of life. The station was no longer just a place of survival. It had become a symbol, a bridge between species, between technology and biology, between fear and courage. Elias looked around at the lights, the systems, the staff, and finally at Leary. This is only the beginning, he said. Other stations will learn, other species will adapt. And humans we will continue to surprise. Leary nodded. We already have, she said. The tool pulsed softly beside them, and she felt a small warmth spread through her chest. It was not just the human device. It was the station itself, alive and aware, thriving because of trust, courage, and collaboration. And somewhere in the wider galaxy, the story of a tiny alien nurse and a human engineer began to spread. Not as a tale of conquest, but as a tale of hope, of learning, and of what happens when beings refuse to accept limits. The station continued its work, its neural systems adjusting, its drones moving with purpose, its patients healing beyond expectation. Leary and Elias walked together through the corridors, silent companions in a world that had changed forever. The council would study the data, others would try to replicate it, but the real lesson had already been learned. Humans did not need to dominate. They only needed to act, to teach, and to trust, and the universe in return responded. The stars outside the station gleamed faintly, unaware, yet attentive. The galaxy had learned something subtle, powerful, and undeniable. When humanity acted with courage and purpose, life itself became stronger. Inside the station, the smallest nurse and the human engineer shared a quiet understanding. They had saved lives. They had changed systems, and in doing so they had changed the way the galaxy would see humans forever. Elias looked at Leary. "We did it," he said softly. "We did," she replied, her eyes reflecting the glow of the tool and the station around them. "And we will continue." The station hummed, alive, aware, and ready for whatever came next. And in that hum, a quiet truth settled in. Humanity had arrived, not with power but with purpose. And that purpose would ripple across the stars. The galaxy had never seen humans like this before. It would not forget them. And the story of trust, courage, and collaboration had only just begun.